Hello again, everybody. This is Amorgin, and you're very welcome back to another episode of Star Trek Fleet Command. So, guys, a big day on the Founder server. One of the big dogs, the heavy hitters of the game, a legend in his own lifetime, Phil-Luc Picard, has been caught with his shields down. It's a day that many people have been anticipating, and a day that many people have been waiting a long time on. And so what we've got here, guys, is Rog. Some of you guys might be familiar with Rog who have watched some of the base raiding videos that I've done before. We've raided with Rog, we've raided against Rog, and now Rog are here for a big day, taking down this base of Phil-Luc Picard. And Phil will not be happy one bit at this moment where Rog are out taking everything that he has got. Now, the question remains as to whether Phil will be able to get on and shield up in time before a large number of these resources are robbed from right under his nose. So we've seen Harry Seldon there, guys. There's Char. Char's one of the other big legends in this game. These guys have been around a long time. There's Harry Seldon. Harry will have sweet revenge in this moment, guys, because he's getting his opportunity of a bit of payback against Phil. Some of you guys might have seen my friend Econ's video. If you haven't, guys, go and check it out. I'll link it at the end of this. And Econ got some coverage of where Harry got drained by a number of people, and Harry is back for a bit of revenge, and Harry will be very happy at this all together if they can get down through Phil's resources and into his titanium. So we can see Hiltz out there, guys. My old friend Hiltz is getting stuck in. Hiltz do a bit of damage here. Char certainly do a bit of damage. There's a few of the guys there. I'm not sure about Borg or NXT or what they're doing there. It remains to be seen as to whether they're helping Rog or not, or what the story is. But there's GT. GT's shielded at the minute. We don't know if GT's getting stuck in. But there's a few of these guys around, guys. There's Sith. There's Lady Shah from Sith. And AUSB Radru, which I think he's just caught in the middle of this war zone. I don't think he has anything to do with it. So there's other people have arrived. Char is out in his Enterprise there, guys. We're looking at a couple of Rog and A-Fed, low-level A-Fed there. More Rog, and probably a few others around this system. So a 1.5 million Enterprise there, guys. And again, if some of you have watched Econ's video, you'll have seen how Phil took that Enterprise out, and this will be a sweet day for Char to get his revenge on that. So like I said, guys, there's a fair bit of footage here to get through. I have quite a bit of editing to do on this, so it may take a little while, but as we go through it, we'll just discuss some of what's going on here. We can see there's Uncle Buck and Psychosis out after him with his Burrell. Harry's out with his Bortus. Sai has hit Buck and destroyed Buck. Now, will Harry go in on Sai? He will. And Sai came out of that one as well. So a few big ships knocking about here, guys. Some of these guys are sitting, like we say, on Bortus there, or maybe or a Centurion of at least 400 or 500k, maybe up on 700, 800, 900k. And like we've seen with Char there, he had an Enterprise earlier. There's an 834k Gladius. Big ships, guys. And a number of people lacing into this base of Phil's, and Phil's not showing any sign yet of waking up and getting his shields up. Now, there'll be a little bit of ignominy in this for Phil, in the sense that Phil was the one telling people that they need to protect their shit and get shields up and all of that. So Phil's been caught on the other side, and pretty sure now that Phil will have a good reason for this, but knowing Phil as well, he'll take it on the chin and won't make a big deal out of it. So Yeah, so these guys are getting stuck in. There's Uncle Buck getting stuck in with a Centurion there again. Won't be getting an awful lot of resources out of it with that Centurion with its cargo hold, but he'll get a little bit, I guess. Hiltz is doing the business, and there's a nice shot of the three guys coming in at the one time. Certainly worth a screenshot maybe there, guys, if you just want to do that. It would certainly be a nice wee shot. Hiltz is flat out at him, and Char is flat out at him in big ships. And Phil is with this A-Fed alliance. Now, Phil, of course, is a former leader of Hum being my alliance, and we talked a little bit earlier about the bias that's perceived because of my membership of that alliance. But as all of you guys know, we're approaching 1,000 subscribers here now, guys. As most of you guys know, I'm not catering in this game to one alliance. I'm trying to cater to multiple servers, and I want to shout out to all you guys that have me on your Discord servers, too many to name, for all of the information that you give me and all of the assistance and insight that from you guys, that some of you are learning the game in a way that I never had an opportunity to learn, and some of you guys are actually ahead of me at this stage and whatever. So it's not all about the founder server, but it's a real pleasure to be able to showcase this founder server activity to all of you guys. And I'd like some feedback from some of you guys. I know you were saying that some of you have big hitters on your servers now like this, and some of you have servers that need new blood and could be dying the same way that our server may. So I'd like your feedback on this kind of activity, guys. What you think about it, in the sense that is this the way we're going? Unless there's going to be a server merge or something, is this the way that this server's going to die, just by the top players eventually getting drained and having to slog it out? Or Dracona's 280 something K ship there, I think. What's it like on your server? Is it coming down to these big hitters on your server hitting each other, and everybody else is really bystanders? Or is there still plenty of smaller levels out there with resources? Or what way is that working for you guys? So as well as that, if any of you guys have high levels, 35 plus, on your server, it'd be very interesting to be able to showcase some of that stuff through screenshots and what have you. So feel free to send that stuff on. I know some of you guys sent me on stuff already, but feel free to send that stuff on and join my Discord and come in and have a chat. I'm quite busy at the moment, guys, with work and various other things, and I'm like I say, I'm working on discussions with ROG about potentially coming in there and showcasing a little bit more detail. I certainly would like to get to know the guys on my server a little bit better, especially in the event that there might be a server merge. I think it would be wise to get to know these guys and be able to showcase all sides if we ever get a lot of new players coming into this server, or we end up getting dumped in another server. So we experienced that before. We know what it's like. Former enemies become friends and all of that kind of stuff. So so the situation we're in is one of where myself as a content creator, you know, I'm exchanging paperwork now at this stage with Scopely. I don't know where that's going to end up. I don't know what the future holds for any of us, but certainly if Scopely are willing to listen to the ideas of the content creators, which it looks like they are at the moment, you know, they've brought in a new member of staff there to work along with Panic, so a shout out to Gala there. We'll catch up at some stage. But I'm glad to hear that there's new resources being put into the community like that. I did make a call for that and lobby for that in a previous video, so I'm glad to see that somebody somewhere is listening to that. I don't claim for a moment all the credit of that, but I'd like to think that the little bit of lobbying that I did do mattered in some way. So Punisher's after warping out. I don't know if that's because he's seen Sai down there. I don't really know what Anne's business here is, but like I said, there's a lot of people here who would see a raid on Phil as a real opportunity to exact some revenge, because a player like Phil, he doesn't really step out of the way for anybody. Players like Phil and Char, they don't get the level 38 without having some kind of muscle behind them. So yeah, this raid continues on. Rado's there. If I remember correct, Rado, I think he got destroyed maybe. If I remember correct, Rado and I think it was Deadly 7th Assassin maybe were my neighbours in Federation space before the server merge. I think we had a few run-ins, but all light-hearted enough stuff. I certainly don't remember the relationship between ourselves and ROG back then to be one of such animosity that you couldn't have a bit of banter and a bit of crack. That seems to have dwindled a little bit, which is sad. It saddens me, and people hold on to grudges, and people's express intent is to only destroy other players by hook or by crook. We can go to war surely with each other, and that's part of the game, and that's all great. But if your only reason for playing is because of some grudge that's held, it's maybe not the healthiest motivation for playing a game that's supposed to be enjoyable. I certainly wouldn't like to think that my motivation for playing was anything negative and unhealthy like that. My main motivation right now for playing is that this YouTube hobby has been reasonably successful, way more than I could have hoped for. And so here I am still making videos of all these wonderful, beautiful bastards doing all of this kind of crazy stuff. And yeah, and they're getting stuck into a bit of role play and all sorts of carry on. So well done to ROG. This was a well executed plan. They capitalised on the moment. And Char's going back with his Enterprise there, and it's an impressive enough display. ROG are quite a big alliance. It's surprising there's not many more. But maybe if I come and join you guys, we can rally the troops and go out and attack somebody. Maybe even Hum. I could set that up, I'm sure. I know if Phil and Octo and the guys probably don't like me saying that there, but I'm sure the guys understand that it's a game. I know these guys a long time, and I don't think they would begrudge me a couple of weeks in ROG attacking whomever within the rules of that particular alliance, of course. But guys, like, listen, I might go on a bit of a walkabout and visit a few alliances if there's anybody out there would be interested in a little bit of showcasing of what this server is capable of, not just what Hum is capable of. So like I've stated in other forums, guys, I want to be proud of the server. I want to be able to showcase the server. I want it to have a good ethos and a good outlook, and I want it to be up there where it should be, with all the legends and among the best that there's out there. And standing proudly with that status of founder, and setting an example to other servers about how to conduct yourself and how to actually play the game. You guys have been around, like if you combined all of your playtime together, guys, on this founder server, you're probably talking an equivalent to everybody else's playtime together. Now you probably have to include the guys that have gone inactive into that as well. But whatever the case, that may be a bit of an exaggeration, but whatever the case, a large number of hours have been put into this by the collective efforts of all of these guys on the founder server. So a lot of experience. We can see there that this guy has jumped in instead of Lady Shah, so they have swapped places. Lady Shah may have been holding that space for Skywalker, so I'm not gonna focus on Skywalker anymore. I've had my fun with Sky. I'm no interest really anymore. It's run its course, I think. But Sith certainly may have an interesting story, and I want to shout out to Iron Monkey of Sith. Nice enough guy by the sounds of it. And I hope he doesn't mind me explaining a little bit about who the Sith Alliance are and what he was saying. I don't know an awful lot. I'm perfectly open to discussing this, but it's been declared that Sith and their sole intention, their sole purpose is to eliminate completely Hum and Sword Alliance. Sword would be Econ's Alliance, who filmed that other video that I was mentioning earlier. So that's the express intention. No other motivation really, it seems, and good luck with that. We'll follow that with interest. We'll see what sort of elimination can happen towards Sword and Hum and whomever, and more power to you. We'll see how you get on, and we'll maybe get a little bit of footage of some Sith action at a later stage. So Char's flying there, so is Hiltz. There's some defty movement there with that. I'm just going to repair this. Now you can see, guys, there that I'm out of titanium there. It's a good way to be in this situation. Keep your titanium stocks low if there are people out to get you. But I'm lucky enough to have a few of them nice little tokens in the inventory for when I need my titanium. So I'd advise everybody, hang on to your tokens till you're ready to use them, guys. Don't cash them in. Any of you that have any left. Now that was a nice hit by Draconis there. Now just to illustrate that, I was going in to hit Sith. I wasn't going to interfere in the Rog thing. Maybe Draconis thought I was going to hit him. If you get a chance, buddy, send me a PM and let me know. Did you think I was hitting your base, or were you defending Sith there? I don't know why Rog would defend Sith in such a situation, because it's been made very, very clear that there is no real association between Sith and Rog. Well, we'll get on to that in a little minute. I want to explain in a wee while about some of my experiences in terms of the reaching out and the attempts at a little bit of diplomacy. Because I see how this game is potentially going. I'm working in circles and discussing things in circles that maybe many Rog and Sith and whoever don't realise that I might be privy to certain conversations in terms of what might be around the corner. Nothing set in stone, and I can't reveal too much because, like I say, there's paperwork to be signed, and there's different things to be done in regards to working with Scopely as a content creator. But I have my motivations, guys, and I have my reasons for wanting to see all of you lovely people in the Founders server showing your best side, putting your best foot forward, and dispensing with all of the nonsense that has built up since this server started to bleed its population. So let's hope for a bright future, guys. Let's hope for good things to come. I want to discuss a little bit of those attempts now in a little moment, maybe, and hopefully enlighten some of you guys. But Draconis, certainly send me a PM there and let me know, were you defending Sith there, or were you actually thinking I was coming to attack you, buddy? Because I wasn't, as you can see from that footage. So still going on, guys, like mad. Some of these guys are very, very handy with how they maneuver their ships. A lot of experience there, like I say. The guys know what they're at this stage. Any server, I think, at this stage that might be merged with us, it doesn't matter, I don't think, at this point, the levels of these guys. We might be faced with other level 35s, level 38s, even level 40s. I don't know if at this moment they could compete with some of these guys. Certainly this demonstration by Rog, if you look, and if you watch closely with what Hiltz is doing, guys, some very crafty movements, some very good movements with them ships. So, like I say, I'll be back in a couple of moments because I've got a lot of footage here to edit together, and we'll continue with a little bit more of this raid. So guys, we're still getting stuck in here. I say I'm not part of this. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself there, thinking that I'm with Rog here for the moment. It's not the case yet. I can see a sword member is pulled in there. Darth Cognus going after him, maybe, is he? Yes, yes, one of the Sith has him. Now that NXT base was freed up for Darth Cognus, so clearly NXT and Sith are working together. He took out that sword ship. A couple of the guys, Skywalker and Uncle Buck, got stuck in there as well. So very defty movements there, guys, to intercept anybody coming into the battle zone. So clearly here, all these guys are obviously working together very efficiently, and nobody's getting in around this space without getting hit. The only people that aren't getting hit here are the people who are attacking Phil. So the likes of the Sith, the Borg, some Ans that were there, all clearly working together and not hitting each other. But any, I suppose, perceived enemy like Sword or Hom are getting hit on sight as soon as they arrive into the battle zone. So this is really a case of ROG allowing this to be a free-for-all on Phil, which you can kind of understand from their point of view. Phil would have probably been a very frustrating character to deal with because Phil doesn't bend the knee to anybody, and that would be my experience of him. He's a strong character that takes no shit, and like I say, he won't be happy one bit about this raid. But you see the sword went in and hit Skywalker there, so credit to him for trying. He's not going to do much, but it's making a point, I suppose. Now, has Harry gone quiet there? Maybe it's me. I haven't seen the ship in a wee while. Some of these guys are still shielded up and haven't attacked yet. I haven't seen GT Mouse come out yet. But certainly the two main protagonists here are Char and Hiltz. It's only guys really of that level that could have cracked this base. Presumably it was Char that cracked this base in the first place. Would have probably cost a fair wee bit, but with the resources that Phil is sitting on, it would be well worth it, provided he doesn't get on and shield up. Now there's Harry coming out now. So Harry will make the best of this. He's probably sitting laughing his bollocks off at the minute, and fair play to him for that, because Harry's a decent guy. He's one of these guys that doesn't get too wound up. He was drained himself not too long ago, and he took it lighthearted. So we shout out to Harry. He sent me a message laughing, saying that his bad side was caught the last time by Econ. So we'll try and show his good side here. I'd be interested, Harry, at some point, if you get a chance, to let me know what sort of repair costs was on your ship. Level 30 to 38. Same with Draconis there. You're raiding that there at level 30. It'll be interesting to see like how your mining ships are holding up while you're doing that. I know in the end you're going to get more out of it probably than you're spending, obviously, but the repair costs, I'd be interested to know what they're like. Yeah, Char well fit to handle his repair costs in this, and Hiltz. And Hiltz is another guy that I've developed. I don't know him at all, but I've developed a healthy respect for him because, again, I've had Hiltz on a few videos, and he could have easily got upset or annoyed at it, and I never heard a peep out of him. It was all fair, love and war kind of situation. He'd hit me on the odd ship and whatever else, and that'd be it. And that's part of the game. And there's Sword going in again. But yeah, we shout out to Hiltz there as well. A man that knows how to hold his tongue and have a bit of self-respect. So I have always great time for people like that, despite them being on the other side at times. But if some of what I'm hearing is true, we might not all be on different sides for very long. So this will keep going on, guys, until Phil shields up or until he's empty, and there's a lot of resources in it. This is going to take hours, so I'm probably going to have to skip through a lot of this stuff. I may speed some of it up. A good coordinated assault. And one would wonder why Anne's the Punisher keeps going in there with a Centurion. Very limited in terms of what it's gonna take. And there we see Dan the Eel. He's going in that what looks like a Kera, maybe. So you'd imagine Dan at level 32 has got a couple of faction miners or at least an ECS Horizon leveled up. Uncle Buck's still up there patrolling that space with the Centurion. And again at 29, a little bit like the Punisher, maybe doesn't have too many options in terms of miners that can hit a base like this at level 38. It's one of the privileges that these guys like Char and Phil and Rommel and all would enjoy, in the sense that if you're very far away from them in levels, you haven't a hope of ever touching them. So these guys are the elites of the game. There may be others out on other servers who are catching up in terms of level. Like I said before, some of you guys have sent me some information from your servers, but if there's anybody watching that has screenshots of strong ships from your server, big battles that happen on your server, I'd be more than happy to take them. I'll share them with these guys and showcase them in a future video. So there's more sword coming in, hitting Skywalker. And Hiltz just looks like he's just breezing on through there, not a bother, not a care in the world. I'm picturing him whistling at the bridge of that ship. So guys, we can clearly see there that Rogue Belly Dancer down in the bottom left hand corner of your screen, he's after going in there and hitting Skywalker, and there's Templar hitting him ever so slightly afterwards, just ever so slightly late with that hit. And the Rogue guys are going in against Skywalker, letting them know that this is their space, this is their kill, and demonstrating for everybody watching that not all of Rogue believe that Sith are on the same side in this instance. So a shout out to them guys, fair play to them for going and demonstrating that, and this battle continues to rage, guys. So guys, I'm parked down here beside the action. Couple of bases out in the outskirts here that are both Rogue and Sword and Hum and different people. Not too many getting in around this Rogue space at all. And as you would have seen there, Rogue have hit the Sith. Sword are continuing to hit the Sith. Not too many Hum in there doing it. And Rogue continuing to take significant resources out of Phil's base. A lot of people trying to contact Phil, you'd imagine right now, trying to get his attention. There's Laser Dad. We shout out to Laser Dad. I've had a couple of dealings with Laser Dad. Seems like a decent guy. One of the guys I'd be hoping to hook up with should Rogue accept my offer. Because of course, guys, I'd like to be able to showcase the various different personalities and strategies of different alliances on this Founders server, where there is a big difference between simple player strength and ship strength. Very significant difference there, guys. And even though there's high levels that we know of, like I've appealed for, to get screenshots from other servers. The guys here in the founder server would love to know what the story is when it comes to ship strength on those servers. So there'll be fair battles to be had if the servers merge, that's for sure. And I guess a lot will come down to where Scopely decide the strength lies on another server. So it would be interesting. It would be an interesting test anyway to try to find out which servers are the most powerful. I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there in various different servers would agree that that would be an interesting test. And certainly all of these guys, there's a feeling from some that they're just sick raiding each other down to the point of where there's very few people left with significant resources, and they all sit within a certain few. So like I said earlier, there's a bunch of bases out in the outlying areas. See Pearly there. Morog. And shout out the Fool there. Shields are up, so not active or not doing much. And so we can see there from the chat at the top that Fool is actually there, so probably very little he can do, or he's been bubbled by one of these guys. Missy keeping it light-hearted, even though Phil would have those close connections with Hom, having been the Admiral for a long time. And any of you guys that are curious about the history of this raid and the relationships between guys like Phil and Char here and stuff, you can go back and watch some of the old base raiding videos where you'll see Hom taking out a ROG player. I think it could be number 22 if you want to go and check out some of the long play base raiding high level gameplay guys. There's a number of incidents that have been caught like this, of high level ships, high level bases. This is one of the biggest yet. I'd be doubting very much whether we have had an incident yet of 2 level 38s getting stuck into each other like this. Certainly it would be rare that there would be so many players above level 30 getting stuck in at the one time. So if you guys want to check out a little bit more on what those kind of ships are like, check out some of them videos where we look at that sort of stuff in a little bit more detail. And it takes a fair bit of persistence, guys, to drain a base like this. You might have noticed some of the resources that Phil was sitting on a while ago. Not small. Now the space around this base has gone quiet, so people are either repairing or watching or trying to rally others. There's something else going on. like I said earlier, there's not an awful lot of rug that are actually getting stuck in. There's a few of them around, as we've seen there, in other around other planets in the system, but there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of them coming in from the outside. And I'll get on shortly. I want to update you guys just on where things are at in relation to my approach to ROG, to showcase some of their gameplay, what their alliance is about. We'll deal with that in a couple of minutes. There's D-Train coming in. Again, a lot of these guys using Centurion, so I'm wondering these guys put stun on the bridge, increase the capacity of these Centurions, cover the repair costs at least, and maybe bring a little extra home. Quite a bit going on. There's Laserdad with his Bortus. So this is really the only option that's left. Gauge at the level of Phil and Char and that, you're talking hundreds of millions of resources to upgrade the likes of your ops to 39, other nodes within your station up to 39. Huge resources in the hundreds of millions. So it's quite a necessity to find big bases like this on big resources. I've had a lot of footage, a very late filming session, this, very draining, pardon the pun. And there's a couple of Irish guys like Taz there sitting up into the late hours for this. A lot of these guys that are doing this raiding are presumably Aussies and on Aussie time, and the like of Phil being on Irish time. Myself and Taz, it's burning the midnight oil for us. Now, has Skywalker gone quiet there for a minute? I don't see much activity from his base. There's Laserdad again. So you would think with a wee bit more coordination, that Laserdad being active there at the moment and a few of the other guys not being, like Draconis is shielded up there. You would have thought that Draconis should have been able to swap places with Laserdad or something to let him in at that. Melio is heading up here somewhere. Don't know what he's after there in that Realta. Laserdad looks to be heading the same way. No, he stopped. And Melio, another Realta. So there's stuff here that I haven't caught on camera that's happened off screen. So for any of that, guys, I apologise. Like I say, late hours, it's hard to grab and capture everything. Just a reminder, guys, that as you're watching this is not live. This is all pre-recorded, so I'm here talking to you, and magically somehow I'm able to engage in the chat also. I've seen some nice discussions recently, guys, as well, just slightly off this base raid for a moment. People have been making jokes about it and stuff, but it's the idea that you might have a base that can be attacked by hostiles, The idea, I think, is something based around that. For example, when you go into hostile space, that hostiles will repeatedly dash themselves off your docked ships and your defense turrets, and that the idea would be that to passively grind for variety of materials, I guess, and parts and stuff, that you could park your base in a hostile system and let the hostiles come and attack your base. Let me know what you guys think about that idea. I've seen it discussed by a couple of people and it's an interesting one. There's Lost Pinky in the Bortus also. Maybe he was coming back from whatever errand he was on. Maybe he was up there hitting fool or something. There's a lot of Centurions hitting this base. It looks like anybody under level 30 is going to struggle hitting this base with a miner. So that gives you an idea, guys, that the likes of Phil here, where he's at in this game, being one of the top dogs, that he can go around the server doing what he wants, and unless you're over level 30, which a lot of guys in fairness are on the founder server, but unless you're over level 30, you can hardly even touch him. And the same would go for Char there, of course. Now a high 20s could probably do something with Hilts and Skywalker maybe. But I'd imagine that's the equivalent of Draconis and Harry Seldon having hit Phil here. I see Harry has vacated that spot to Uncle Buck. There's a bit of coordination at least happening. Again, there's stuff happening off camera there I'm just missing. And we get these quiet moments like this, guys, where people are repairing a ship and Melio's away off and Lost Pinky's stuck in with a Kara there, I think, but Lost Pinky's away off on another errand up there. Maybe he's a woman up there he's visiting. So as you can imagine, guys, if this goes on for a couple of hours, it takes a lot of dedication to keep focusing on repeatedly spamming your ships at this, repairing them. There's Skywalker hitting them again anyway, so he's not gone to sleep. And so we would have seen earlier in the video also, guys, at very early stages, there would have been an incident of friendly fire involving Hilts, and there's always a risk with this, as I've mentioned in previous videos, that you get friendly fire incidents that you're trying to target the base, but you actually target one of these ships that's sitting on top of it. There have been calls for a queuing system. When you attack a base, that you automatically get queued up for the attack so that you can avoid incidents of friendly fire. But in a way, I like that. Now here's Antares coming in, and Psychosis. I think Antares. There's Skywalker chasing Sai. He's returning. Sai got back to base. Antares and Skywalker getting stuck in, and Sky won that one. So quick movements by Skywalker. A right cheeky move by Antares. Now Antares there, just a wee mention and a shout out to him. He hasn't really played this game in about 3 months. There he is, knocking out Lost Pinky. He hasn't played this game in about 3 months. Andros is a high level player and he's gone a little bit quiet. There we go again. That looks like D3. Yeah, so Andros hasn't really been focused on the game too much. He's presumably just jumped in here because he's probably been hearing all the alerts and the warnings and the rallying call, and he's come in and thrown whatever ships he's got out. Sky's taking him out. So all these guys shielded up, so they're not doing much for a moment. Now maybe Antares and Psychosis has bubbled a few of them. And we see Billy there. Quiet enough down this corner again. The lads are still raiding away. Antares has gone back in. There's Char coming after him, is it? Darthubi, he's hit Darthubi. Milio's keeping going up there on his errands. Hiltz got him with the Intrepid. And here's Antares coming out in the Centurion. And again, Hiltz and Intrepid looks like it done the business. And you see the quick movement of Hiltz there. He's already got a ship moving out to a miner out to Phil's base, literally as he's bringing in his ship, his Intrepid. A very quick response on the ball. Shows very clearly there, guys, that Rog are no slouches. There's Lost Pinky at level 30 coming in with the miner. We'll see if he returns out of that. Draconis and Harry Selden were successful enough. Uncle Buck keeping at it with that Centurion. So still no sign of Phil getting on here, guys. This isn't looking good for him. This is the sort of raid that will make somebody quit a game. Now I doubt Phil will quit. Phil's a resilient chap, but this is certainly the sort of activity, and Rog would know this. Sith would know this. Sith would probably be quite happy if Phil quit. Maybe some Rog guys would as well. But I'm pretty sure there's plenty of guys in Rog there that wouldn't want guys like Phil to quit, because he's one of the last men standing from the elites of the game going back over the years. these guys here, they're the last men standing from a very turbulent period of the history of this game. And it's a little bit like that old there can be only one thing from Highlander that has that feel about it, that everybody's going to be hitting each other. All the top players are going to end up hitting each other and trying to drain each other for those huge amount of resources that they need to advance on. And eventually one person's going to emerge, or one small group will emerge that's benefiting from taking everybody else's resources. So guys, we're well into the raid at this stage, and what's happened here now is it's been going on that long that Phil's bubble has come up. His 10-minute shield has come up. Now you see Billy and Skywalker taking him out there, singing Billy. Billy's the DJ on the ceasefire server, and I'll come to that in a wee minute. But you can see there that Phil's shield is lasting for a couple of minutes. I'm jumping through some of this footage so we don't have to wait for too long. So it's gone a little bit quiet while the shield is popped. So this shows you how long this has been going on, guys, and that there it is, just gone there now. This shows you how long it's been going on, in that they've been raiding and raiding and raiding for this long. You can see his resources are well down there. It's been raiding for this long that it's actually gone that long that his 10-minute shield has popped again during these attacks. So the guys are going to start getting stuck back in. There's Draconis at it again. And Hilts, of course. So the guys have probably gone and got a cup of tea and had their toilet break. And time to take more of Phil's tritanium, I would think, is the plan. So for a wee while there, people would have been thinking, has Phil got online? Did he stick his shield up? Is that it over? But as I said, it was only a 10-minute shield, guys. The automated 10-minute shield. So they're back at it again. Half-time break, into the dressing room for oranges and a bollocking from the boss. Or maybe they're getting praised for their good work so far and go out and win the second half as well. But this isn't over just yet. If Phil still gets on, he's still got quite a bit of resources there. Still nothing to be laughed at. And so we've seen there that when Billy entered the space, he was attacked. Skywalker got out and got him. And as I mentioned, Billy being the DJ on the ceasefire server, Billy's a good guy. He's a moderator on my Discord channel, so if any of you guys want to pop into my Discord channel, come on ahead. Billy might play you a few tunes if he's there, if he's not too busy DJing on the ceasefire server. And so, a little bit about that, guys. The ceasefire server was where friends and enemies alike, they come together and keep lines of communication open, I suppose. But there were some comments made a while back on that ceasefire server that weren't very nice. I'll not get into the whys and the wherefores of that, but suffice to say that it was time to leave when people started making apologies for what had been said. And a number of people like myself, not easily offended, but when lines are crossed, you need to make your statement. So a number of people left that server because lines were crossed. And anybody that's seen some of my recent videos on the politics of the founder server and what's going on between all of these guys, is they're almost tearing each other apart if they can. It's become, like I said, it's become not a very nice environment at times. And this is why I'm reaching out to ROG, and I want to build these relationships and build some bridges instead of burning them. because we don't know what's around the corner, and I'd like to get to know these guys a bit better. And so, talking to Tormund Giantsbane, Bernard, a shout out to Tormund Bernard, former NXT. Bernard was kind enough to give me his views on one of my videos where I mentioned the server 2. Server 1 joined server 2, Hom were server 1, merged with server 2, and I've mentioned a few times about the toxic element that existed within server 2. I've also mentioned in previous videos about how the DNA from server 1 server 2 is now mixed. It's been quite a while, but I've mentioned about how there are some people who just haven't forgotten old grudges from way back in server 2 time that really nothing got to do with a lot of the server 1 guys, and pay no heed whatsoever, and all the old nonsense that went on before we were merged. None of our business. Didn't really care for it. But when people carried those grudges over, people started joining alliances that were mixing and matching. Like I said, the DNA was mixing. Some of them old grudges were held on to. People are very, very bitter about things that really nothing to do with our alliance and any server 1 alliances. And it gives the impression that there are some that server 2 is a very bitter place, you know. At least that's the perspective, and there would be others that would share that perspective from server 1 point of view. And we might have had our crazy guys and our rows and people that we were fighting with, and Sword, who are now our allies, were one of our fiercest enemies, and a lot of rows had with some of them guys, and a lot of bitterness developed there as well, but nothing we didn't get over, you know. And certainly we haven't carried them grudges on once the merge happened. So the gist of the conversation I had with Tormund Giantsbane, Bernard as he's known, Bernard was saying that it seemed like I was a little bit biased in some of my videos, and that's all part of the roleplay, guys. That's all part of this unreality. That's all part of me speaking from my point of view, my experiences and what I hear and what I see. But at no time, and I'll make this very, very clear, at no time have I or would I ever suggest that all of the people on server 2, that server 2 in general, was a toxic place. I don't know that. I wasn't there, and my experience of the vast majority of server 2 people have been quite pleasant and decent people, and some of them have joined Hom and all of that. So at no time did I mean to give offence to server 2 people. There's Havachat. Havachat used to be in Hom and now he's in ROG, so it gives me a little bit of hope that they might take me in, let me showcase some of their stuff. Strange move, if you ask me, given somebody who jumped around alliances, the Admiralty, but there it is, and a good show of faith by the Char and the guys to give that role to Havachat. So well done to him. But this server 2 stuff there, I promised Tormund Bernard that I would make it very clear that I have no issue with server 2 people. I don't think Hom or anybody else has an issue from server 1 has an issue with that there. It just seems that them old grudges were carried forward, so no way do I mean to reflect any of those comments onto players who were server 2 in general. And so on the back of that conversation, guys, with Tormund, I got to thinking, and I reached out to a player that some of you might be familiar with from previous videos, and I think he follows some of my stuff, so we shout out the Rogue Belly Dancer. I think the guys call him Belly, so I'll just abbreviate that to Belly. So Belly, I very much approved of Belly's tactics in the previous video. He was one of the only ROG that turned out to defend one of his comrades. He wasn't going to do much, but he turned up nonetheless, and he threw everything he had out there and done his best to make the point that he'll stand up for his buddies. And I think I made a comment back then that with that attitude he should be in Hom. So guys like Belly are in ROG, and like I said about Laserdad earlier, Belly would be one of the guys I'd like to hook up with and see if there's the possibility of getting a bit of decent footage from a ROG perspective. So it remains to be seen whether we can do that. Fingers crossed. We'll lose no sleep if it doesn't happen, however, and I still don't know whether it will. I've been waiting a couple of days now to get a response. So we'll see what happens with that. But after talking to Thorman stroke Bernard, I reached out to Rogue Belly Dancer to find out, like, did ROG hate me really that much? Was I really that hated, or was there a chance that I would get into ROG? And I think he was a bit surprised at my suggestion that I would join ROG. He didn't think it was the worst idea in the world, so thank you to him for indulging that conversation. So I reached out to Char, this level 38 here that's attacking Phil right now, and it's fair to say I think that Char was a bit surprised at my offer as well. Now the guys probably think that this is some dirty tricks by Hom or something, because the distrust is that great. It's entirely my initiative, guys. Nobody has suggested this to me or asked me or ordered me or any of that kind of stuff. I can only ask you to take my word for that. It's entirely my initiative. My alliance is now aware of it, or they're aware that I've offered to join ROG. And what happened here, guys, was that Char invited me back to that ceasefire server that I talked about where Billy does his DJing. And on that server, it was largely populated by ROG. I think there was 55, 56 people in it, largely populated by ROG. But the Sith were there as well, and a number of other alliances like ANDS and that are represented there too. And you see there's 3 out of the top 4 involved in that battle, guys. So I rejoined that ceasefire server and I made myself available. There's 4 out of the top 6. Pearly's there somewhere. So yeah, I joined that server, guys, and mixed reactions. Some people welcoming enough, some people paying no attention to who's there, and some people not liking it and thinking that maybe it was an opportunity to raise grudges and things like that. And my intention wasn't to join there and get into the whys and the wherefores and discuss who done what to who. Some people seem to suggest that individuals bear responsibility for the collective, and that's a point of view and you're entitled to it. Personally, in this game, I may be part of an alliance, but I take responsibility for my own actions. I suggest everybody take responsibility for their own actions, because if somebody tells you what to do, you have a choice to do it or not. If you choose to do it, that's your choice, so you take responsibility for making your choice. If you refuse to do it, and there's consequences to that, you take responsibility for your choice. So it doesn't matter even operating within the collective, you take responsibility for the decisions that you make within this game and in life, guys. It's nothing too wild amazing. It's not a complex concept. So I seem to be getting held accountable for things I don't even know anything about, and some people thinks that it's smart to suggest that I'm a bit naive to all of this. I'm happy to admit that I'm naive to all of it. I'm glad I'm naive to all of it, because this is a game and I like to enjoy it the way I want to play it. And right now I'm enjoying playing it by filming all of you guys raiding this base, even though I know Phil longer than any one of you. I know Phil better than all of you put together, but I'm willing to get to know you. So I reached out to Char, like I said. Char wasn't entirely against the idea, but he did say that he'd consult with ROG and get back to me, so I'm still waiting. But in the meantime, I made myself available on this ceasefire server, and I presented myself in voice chat to talk directly to people, because it was just very difficult to engage with 4 or 5 people at one time who were wanting to discuss the content of my videos and any perceived bias that might be out there. And just easier to talk directly to people. I believe that it builds bridges and it's a good idea. And it's the best way, I think, to convey and communicate ideas, suggestions, and to relax everybody and chill out and get to know each other a wee bit better, which is all part and parcel of the social element to this game. Just down in the corner there, guys, I just missed out. Hughes got stuck in there. Hughes is one of the golden oldies of this game. Good guy. Has an enterprise himself there, you can see. He's taken out Havachat. Hughes has had a bugged issue there where he was home way back in the day, but for some reason, and only a handful of people experienced this bug, but since we had the merger, he hasn't been able to rejoin home. He's blocked out of our alliance for some reason. But Hughes is certainly no pushover, level 32. So he's turned up and rallied for Phil. And Phil will appreciate that, because Phil and Hughes would go right back as well. Hughes is a quiet guy, he doesn't talk too much. I guess that's partly because he's not in the alliance, I don't see it that often. But a decent guy. And a long-term original of him. But yeah, guys, I joined the ceasefire. I was in there a couple of days. Shared with them an idea I had for a script. I've scrapped that now. I'm not going to run with that script for a video, because I'm doing this instead. But I shared with the guys my feelings and my thoughts that I want to be proud of the server, not just the alliance, as I've mentioned before. And I think I'm going to leave the server again. One of the most enjoyable experiences on it was listening to Billy's tunes in the DJ set. But I want to say I got to thinking. Some of my perspective has changed a little bit, particularly in relation to Iron Monkey and some of the guys in Sith. I've seen behaviour that's not pest-like behaviour. The word pest is a very contentious word in our server, because it usually refers to a lone operative who's annoying everybody. A term pest alliance has been coined. That phrase is yet to be defined entirely, but in my book a pest is somebody who just pesters you. That's what a pest is, adopts a certain attitude, and a pest is different. Like a low level harassing a high level, arguably they could be a pest, but if it's to defend themselves, you wouldn't really have a problem with that. But a higher level attacking a lower level, or just annoying people in general, and the same people all the time, that sounds very like pest behaviour to me, you know. But yeah, back in that ceasefire server, preparing this video, and wanting to show ROG in the best possible light here, to demonstrate that there is no bias, and that even if it is perceived, we'll try and not show too much of a bias here, guys. Maybe I'm going against my nature, maybe I'm going against my breeding, maybe I shouldn't be stepping away from the home tags, maybe I shouldn't be stepping away from the family, as some would put it. I don't think my guys would mind, in the interest of fairness and challenging accusations of bias. That's a fair amount of resources the char sitting on there, guys. Take a while to get through them. Now the power steel would be chewed up pretty quickly with upgrades, but you see here, like Darth Cognus is on a decent amount as well. What's GT got? Yeah. You see, any of these guys would be very well worth raiding. Any of these guys could get caught as easily as Phil has got caught here. And so, just a little bit then now back to what I was saying about the ceasefire server. And the pest behaviour, guys, is like what I don't really approve of when people are concerned about, say, Phil in this situation, because it's very unlike him to have shields down in situations like this, is the gloating. You know, the nasty things being said about the revenge and the this and that. Nobody likes a gloat. And credit to ROG haven't been gloating about this. One or two individuals have, but we'll not get into that too much. Their gloating speaks for itself and reflects to the general population of the server what sort of person you're dealing with. But suffice to say, guys, nobody came in and joined me in the chat. One or two indicated that they would have been willing to if they had been online, and fair play to them. But I made myself available a couple of occasions, and nobody came in and engaged me. People preferred to talk and text and type, and that's fair enough. So like I said, I adapted a script with all of my thoughts and I shared it with them. See there, I'm just editing out some of the chat, guys, because not all of it's necessarily appropriate for this video. So I'm still in that ceasefire server, guys. It hasn't been the most pleasant of experiences because I was genuinely trying to reach out, and it felt like it was just an opportunity for a certain cabal to bash the videos and bash myself and do whatever. So I'm not a sore person. I don't bear grudges like that. I knew well when I was doing these videos that you're going to have a certain clientele that's always going to be out there trying to troll, and you know, so I'm not sore about that one bit. I can do a fair bit of winding up myself and a fair wee bit of poking at the bear and picking at sores, and it's all part of the territory. So I'm not fazed by it. I'm not annoyed by it whatsoever. But I do believe that our server has an opportunity here to put its best foot forward, demonstrate to all of you guys, there's hundreds of people that are not on our server at all, that the founders are deserving of their status being gods of the game. These guys have been around for ages, and I mentioned earlier about the difference in player strength and ship strength, and I mentioned a wee bit about not being sure if we got merged, if guys of a similar level would even be able to cut it. And this is the big question that we're starting to ask now. So it's a little bit exciting even to think about the possibility of that. But the ship strength is the big key here, and some of these guys have powerful machines under them. So it's slowed down somewhat. I'm starting to fade. I'm quite tired. I've been going through a lot of this footage at a very busy time. Been very busy with work and stuff, so finding the time to go through hours of footage, it's not easy. But here we are, we have it done, and I'm hoping all of you guys are enjoying it. I'm hoping all of you guys are engaging in chat. Don't be shy, leave your comments, make your comment, make your voice heard, just keep it civil, guys. That's all I ask. And I want to extend an invitation to friends and enemies alike. Come and join me on my Discord. If you can be civil, if you have a sense of humour, if you like chatting away and chilling out, come on ahead over, join us. And we can discuss some of this Star Trek Fleet Command and other games. Just be aware, guys, not everybody on the server is into Star Trek Fleet Command. The number of people that are there do not play Star Trek Fleet Command, they play other games. So it's an opportunity to discuss other games as well. But there's a lot of Star Trek Fleet Command guys in there that would be more than happy to chat with you. I would be very interested in getting a founder server perspective. And thank you to Billy and Psychosis for assisting with that. So Billy's coming in the Centurion there, guys. Now, some of this I'm just not able to catch off screen, and apologies again for that. So we just seen a shield go up there. And here we have Captain Caffeine's arriving. Just after getting a wee mental image of Captain Caveman with his big club there. So Captain Caffeine's after arriving. And off he goes in this Centurion. Char's fingers must be getting sore here at this stage from the amount of tapping he's doing to get that miner in there. From 2 at a time, see him with the hits. So again, guys, one of the things that these guys have an advantage, and one of the things, like, I'm not even anywhere near the knowledge of some of these guys. In terms of your officer setups, in terms of the weapons on ships, how weapons on ships work, it's one of the little known things. This is a wee bit of information for you, that some ships fire in rounds and some ships take longer in terms of when they're going to hit. All of this kind of stuff matters depending on what officers you've got and what ships you're using. So if any of you guys are watching, and a reminder, this isn't live. If any of you guys are joining us, very welcome. This isn't live, this is pre-recorded. So I'm here talking to you guys, and I'm in the chat typing away as well, hopefully. But this is an opportunity for any of you guys that are not founder server to shoot out your questions and discuss some of those more nuanced things, because some of these guys have experience going way back a couple of years. They've figured out a lot of the mechanics of the game more than I even have. So this is the chance for you to engage with these guys who've been around a long time, ask their questions. Like, credit to Skywalker. People think that I have a grudge against Skywalker, whatever. He might have a grudge against me, I don't know. I said earlier that I'm kind of done with that. I've had my fun, so water under the bridge, Sky, I don't really care anymore. And credit where it's due to him. He's got a damn good officer setup on his Saladin. He's going with a Gorkin critical hit setup, I believe. Very effective. Worth looking at what he does. And others. Like I say, all of these guys have been around, high level guys like this. They've figured out a lot of the mechanics going back over 2 years or so. Ask them questions. There's a couple among them they'll be more than happy to answer. And I hope, guys, this is an opportunity to bring people from various servers together to discuss this kind of stuff. An opportunity from you guys that aren't on the founder server to engage with the people that take part in these kind of raids and discuss with them what's going on and the cost of upgrades at certain levels and all sorts of things. So I encourage that. Don't be shy. Phil's resources are well down there, guys. He's down to 44 million titanium. He's lost a lot. Really needs to get on and get them shields on very soon if he wants to have even enough for basic repairs. This is, in terms of strategy, in terms of an ongoing conflict, there's a bit of a cold war between ourselves and Rog at times, and then there's open conflict again, and recently Hom have dropped ceasefires, mainly because of the level of harassment by certain players and how that spilled over to trolling behaviour and things. And rather than sit quietly, Hom wouldn't be known to do that there. It's just time to air those frustrations. There's an old saying over around these parts that you may as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb, which essentially means if you're going to be accused of something and pay the cost anyway, you may as well commit the crime. So the message going out from this is that Rog aren't to be fucked with, but at the same time, the other side of it is that if Hom are going to be subjected to this, well, they're probably going to hit back as well, you know. So it is a war game after all, guys. It is about this, and in terms of a coup, in terms of certainly now, and I'm facilitating this, I'm fully aware this is a propaganda coup for Rog. And fair play to them. They've done what many thought was impossible. They've caught Phil with his shields down. And we see there again, top players here, guys. So for Rog, this means that they're top dogs at the moment. They can revel in this as a victory. They can go after this and pat each other on the back and say job well done, and handshakes all around and promotions and all sorts of things going on there. There'll be a few there, be very much in the mood for a party. And I hope all of you Rog gays are sitting back with your popcorn, sitting back with a beer, a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, feet up, enjoying this footage of what has been a very, very effective raid. You've gotten Phil right down to his underwear. And again, I'll say it, credit for not gloating. And a thank you to Char for inviting me back to the ceasefire server, so to give me an opportunity to deal with the criticisms around bias, but also for affording me that opportunity to challenge any negative comments, any lies or misrepresentations that might be going on, and affording me the opportunity to let any of those Rog gays prove me wrong in some of the suggestions that have been made. Hasn't happened yet, but maybe if we get Rog tags, maybe that can happen. We'll see. And should it be a case, guys, that you decline, maybe just a little bit too cagey about a Hom coming in, especially one that you view as a Hom propaganda minister, I'd rather be a founder server propaganda minister, to be honest with you. But if that doesn't transpire, that's alright. I'll settle for Hom propaganda minister then, and so we'll see you around the universe, you know. No hard feelings. But this raid's going to be over soon enough, regardless. Still quite a time to go, I suppose, but it's going to be over soon enough, given what Phil's down to. And Rog have clearly won this battle. This war has been on and off for the last number of months. Some of you guys have followed some of the videos on the war. So it's not all about showing the Hom victories. It's about showing the Rog victories now also. So there's a shield gun up again, guys. Automatically wondering, is this another 10-minute shield? Has this been going on that long that the timer's gone around on it again, and another 10-minute shield popped. $36 million left, enough for minor repairs. Awful power steel levels. So right now everybody's wondering what's going to be the story. Hilts, Skywalker, Char, all poised. No doubt communicating on their own servers and on their own alliance chat, discussing the timer on this, and is Phil there? Now you guys will note that there's been a bit of editing in all this here. It saved a bit of time. I don't think the machine could have handled the amount of footage that I had if I had put it into the editing software. I think it would have seized it. So I've had to do this in sections, and I hope it's come out reasonably well. And I hope that I've shown ROG in a good light and not been too biased. Leave your feedback, guys. Leave your comments. So guys, the word is Phil's got on, he's got his shields up. Early indications seem to say that there's some kind of bug, that Phil was under the impression he had a shield up. He thinks that's what's happened, and he's raising it with Scopely, I believe. Certainly you wouldn't want to be losing that amount of resources to a bug, so let's hope Phil gets that sorted out. I think it would be in Scopely's best interest to compensate Phil if it turns out that there is a bug, because that would be very bad form, losing all of that down to a bug. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. Some of you guys might know Phil, you might have met Phil or discussed things with Phil or engaged with Phil in some way, because Phil is a moderator on some of the social media platforms for this game, and Reddit and Discord and places. So if you do encounter Phil, commiserate with him, tell him you've seen the video, whatever. But I hope that this video has served its purpose. I hope that this raid on Phil has served its purpose, and offered me this opportunity to demonstrate that there's not necessarily that much bias here. I hope I've been able to show ROG in a good light. So a shout out to ROG. Well done, guys. Job well done. This has been a painful experience, I'm sure, for any HOM that are watching. Certainly a painful experience for Phil, I'm sure. But a credit to them guys for taking it on the chin. We'll move forward in this server and see where we go. And I want to thank all of you guys sincerely for turning out and engaging in the chat. You guys are what make these videos possible. I wouldn't be doing them if it weren't for you. So until the next time, guys, until the next video, take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will chat to all you guys again very, very shortly. Cheers.